Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV at the Avalon Theater, and have a very interesting and informative set of guests this morning. And I'm very excited to introduce to the community Dr. James Bell. Glad you're here. Thank you. Dr. Bell is a former director of student services, administrator, and teacher, and he serves as the BAM, Building African American Minds, director of the institution, academic support and community well-being, and also Andre Sorrell. Sorrell?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Serves as the adult workforce development coordinator. They are here to share information about the BAM Career Expo, which is being held Saturday, March 25th at the BAM Athletic Center, located at 31 Jowett Street. Did I pronounce
Joe White.
Joe White Street.
Right.
In Easton. And gentlemen, welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. So glad you're here. Thanks.
Well, thank you for having us, and it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what's going on, what the community needs to know, who you're hoping will come, who's going to participate and really make this a special moment.
Well, I can tell you that at BAM, under our with respect to our programming, there are really three sort of high-level topics that we try to address for the community. One is workforce development. Health and wellness is another, and then academics and instruction is a third. So this falls under our workforce development initiative. Excellent. And so what we're doing is we're sponsoring a career expo, and we're holding it this Saturday, as you mentioned. Yep. And so we have a number of different businesses that are coming out, and they're looking to hire. And so we're getting the word out to our community and the community at large, because anyone in the Mid-Shore region is able to, in fact, anyone's able to attend. They're just looking for folks who are really willing to come in and work. And some of them are interviewing and may be hiring right on the spot.
Wow, that would be great.
Yeah, in addition to that, we have a Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Cambridge Alumni Chapter, who are going to provide what they're calling first aid, resume first aid. And so anyone who comes in, if you don't have a resume, you can stop at their station. They have a form, resume. You can put in your information, and you can have one to work with as well.
And you know this, but that's so important. Mm-hmm. I mean, learning how to create an effective resume is a real learning skill. I mean, not everybody knows that intuitively.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Good.
And so and actually the Andre is we're first of all, we're thrilled to have him join the BAM staff.
Good.
He's our as you mentioned, adult workforce development coordinator, and he can tell you more about the businesses that are lining up to be able to hire some folks in our community.
Please do. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you.
I've been working hand in hand with numerous employers here in the region, Caroline, Talbot, Dorchester counties. They'll be offering jobs across the spectrum, warehouse jobs, local government jobs, real estate, even marketer. One guy's even looking for a marketing executive. So not only are we offering jobs, we're offering opportunities for careers, or even people who want to switch careers. I'm very excited about it. The list is constantly growing, and I'm looking forward to Saturday. So we just want to partner with the employers here in the region and the employees as well, and connect qualified employees to employers. So.
Sure. If somebody wants to find out about this before Saturday, is there an online, how do they do that?
Yeah, so if anyone is interested, you can contact me at 410-310-4425, or you can email me if you can't call at Sorrell@BAMinc.com.
Okay, and that's all on the website.
That's all on the website. That's all on the flyer as well.
How many people do you expect will participate? Do you have any idea? I mean,
Well, and it's tough to know because we're not doing a pre-registration.
Okay.
We do on-site registration, and it's just maybe 4 questions that they'll answer once they actually attend the event. So there's no way for us to really know other than to do what we're doing right now, trying to get the word out to get as many people as possible there.
I actually think it's important. I mean, not to sound whatever, but yeah, this is an important moment, and I'm glad you guys are here because what else? What else do you want the community to know? What else should they be aware of, and what can we tell them that will help draw more folk in?
We want them to understand that this is an event to connect them with potential employers. However, our involvement doesn't stop there because we also offer workforce development training as well, and so. We will let the employers know this on Saturday, but if they are willing to hire someone and they want us to stay involved with possibly doing some employability training or job skills training, we can stay involved in that way as well. So so what I want the community to know is just come out and just have the conversations because if you feel like there's something that you want to learn, in the job market, then let us know. We'll stay involved with you as you go through the process.
It's so important. I mean, what an important thing you guys are doing for the community in general. It's right now it's really necessary, especially when you feel and see what's going on out there. I mean, your experiences must be profound, actually. So.
And as a business owner himself, I mean, he understands what you should look for.
So,
what business do you own?
So my wife and I, we own 2 businesses. One is Sorrell Dream Getaways, which is a travel agency. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram under Sorrell Dream Getaways. We also own Sorrell Elite Transportation, which is a private transportation company. We provide medical transportation to medical appointments, airport transfers, a night on the town, any private transportation needs we can fulfill.
And do you take people to the local hospital here as well?
Yes. Yes, sir. Anywhere.
Okay.
Anybody that needs a ride, we'll get you there safely.
I have a connection. I'll have to ask if. Anyway, we'll do this offline. It's fine. I'll check this one out. That's very funny. All right. So that's great. Anything else you think we need to know about what's coming up and what we need to do?
Well, just understand that the event's going to be held rain or shine because it's going to be indoors at the BAM Athletic Center. And so weather won't be an issue. And we'll be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's the time frame.
And to compound on a point you made earlier, not only this is just actually a career expo we're having, but I myself am committed to personally assisting any individual who needs any type of employment readiness, job readiness. We're going to have many workshops coming. We're going to do federal bonding. We're going to do a bunch of things to employ people who feel that though they have obstacles in front of them in obtaining gainful employment. So I'm going to work with them every step of the way to make sure that they
Excellent. So important. So important. That's really good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so we just want to tell the community, look, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be someone who is looking for a high-level and very skilled position. You can be looking for an entry-level position. It doesn't matter. We're going to have a mixture of employers there who are looking for various types of candidates to fill roles.
Sure.
So there's going to be something there for you.
For everyone.
You just have to come out. We even have folks in the mental health realm that are coming out as well, and they're hiring. So they're going to be hiring, I think, social workers and therapists and things like that as well. So we're going to have a mixture of folks there.
This is a very good thing for the community. Thank you both for doing this. Thank you for being here on the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thanks for having us.
We've been talking with Dr. James Bell and sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my voice these days, but and Andre Sorrell.
Yes, sir.
And I hope it goes well. I hope a lot of people come and get to move a step up or two as a result of your work.
Absolutely. That's what we're hoping.
And, after the event, we'll have you back. You can tell us about how it went and the success level that you thought.
Yeah, and I'd love to come on and talk about our health and wellness initiatives too. We got quite a few of those.
We will do that, absolutely. Thank you for being on the roundtable.
Good seeing you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having
good
me.
to see you always.
All right.
And we will be back, Easton, momentarily.
The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by Easton Hardware and Floor Covering. Since 1939, we're still there and we still care.
And we are back. Hello, Easton. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and you are seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable, although this is square, but doesn't matter. My second guest is Deena Kilman, not a stranger to the Rabbi's Roundtable.
No, we're trying to come alive.
I know.
Stuff.
And for those of you who may not know, Deena is with the Easton Economic Development Corporation, the EEDC, the coolest committee in town.
Absolutely.
And also Discover Easton, and she's Director of Strategic Initiatives. And before we begin, I just want to show you this. We're going to talk about BYOB.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody who thinks that means bring your own booze, that's not what it means at this time.
Not this month.
BYOB means bring your own bags. Okay, and there's an initiative that's starting
April 2nd.
April 2nd to eliminate plastic bags
Yes.
from
Easton.
Easton. This is really interesting, and this is an aside, okay?
Yeah.
I grew up in Connecticut. I lived in the summers in Old Lyme, which is right across the Connecticut River from Saybrook, and I worked in a plastic factory
Oh no.
that made polyethylene bags.
Oh no. You started all this.
I knew everything there is to know about. At one time plastic bags, from the pellets, and they're heated up, they're melted, and anyway, it's a long story. They never go away.
Yeah, correct.
They
correct.
don't, the company is no longer there. You can go to the ground around where the factory was, dig it up, you can still find
Oh my
pellets
gosh.
of plastic, polyethylene resin. And seriously, so this is an important thing. I'm all for that.
Forward thinking. So,
Yeah.
as you know, we've talked about it a little bit before, but it's getting closer, so we wanted to remind people.
Well, that, and I just think in terms of if you have concern for the environment, if you have concern for the land, we need to think about the use of plastic and how
Absolutely.
this impacts us for lots of
Absolutely,
reasons.
absolutely. And the town council is a unanimous vote to do the plastic bag ordinance, which goes into effect April 2nd. And really the campaign is, yes, we know plastic bags are bad, but most of our merchants actually weren't using them. But what we want to encourage actually is bring your own bag, just in general. Like, get rid of the plastic, that's a given. We're gonna do that April 2nd. There's no more plastic bags in Easton. But you should bring your own bag. So we don't even want to use the paper.
Right,
We would
right.
really like everyone to get some cloth bags, get pillowcases,
Well,
whatever you need.
if going shopping in the various supermarkets recently, it's not uncommon to see people with their own
That's
shopping,
fantastic.
cloth or whatever. Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. We lead the Eastern Shore, we know, in many things. And one of the things Easton is very proud of is that we are the first ones out here to really lay into this and say, the Chesapeake Bay is what we cherish and love. So this is just a part of taking care of that environment for our kids and for ourselves.
Anybody that's ever done any kind of environmental cleanup in any body of water.
Yes. The watermen, the Talbot watermen actually supported this initiative and actually have helped us put some marketing dollars behind this initiative because they are out there on the water every day and they actually see the destruction.
And if you sail, if you boat,
Of course.
this is really important. I'm really glad to do this on the Rabbi's Roundtable, but also that we're doing this as a community.
Yeah, me too.
God, you can go diving and see plastic bags all over. It's gross. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what else is coming up? Well, what about the
What's not coming up?
Yeah.
Lots of things. So the guys were just here talking about the BAM
Yep, the
Career
BAM.
Fair and Discover Easton. The Easton EDC is happy to support that. Lots of employers will be there, so we're super excited about that.
That's going to be a good thing.
Oh, that's
an
gonna be
important
great. BAM has got a whole series of stuff going
Yeah,
on
they're so
around
cool.
workforce development, so we're happy to support them there. We've got the May Day event coming up, so I brought you a schedule.
Oh.
So this is April 28th and 29th. The town will be decked out in flowers. There's going to be pop-up flower markets downtown. There's going to be tablescaping and flower classes. At the Avalon, they're having the opera and they're having
Yep.
the Glenn Miller Orchestra. So it's just going to be a beautiful spring festival weekend.
Wonderful.
You'll see these posters around town. So there's a May Day website. So it's discovereaston.com May Day with all the wonderful activities happening. And if you can't find something to do in those 2 days, I feel sorry for
That
you.
says more about you than it says about us.
Yeah, because our town is
Absolutely.
gonna be gorgeous. The Talbot Garden Club will be judging the displays
good.
around downtown, so it's going to be awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And what, April 12th, what's that?
April 12th is going to be really cool. So again, it's at the Avalon Theater where we are filming this.
Yep.
Women to Watch, sponsored by APG Media, is in its third year. And so all the women nominated were invited to a free party here to celebrate and network with each other and tell each
wonderful.
other what they do. Discover Easton is a proud sponsor of that event for all our Easton women. There'll be cocktails and mocktails, so it's for everybody. Don't feel like, you can't come because it's a Wednesday. It's going to be very fun. One of the speakers is going to be Amani Black, which is a very wonderful young lady from Chestertown, and she is the founder of Minorities in Aquaculture. So she is an oyster woman. And she is fascinating
cool.
story. So I'd love everybody to come out and support that event.
Yeah.
If you're nominated, you should have gotten an email and that your ticket is free. If you were not nominated and you're a guest of someone or your husband or spouse or whatever, come on over. It's like a really tiny little fee to come in the door, but it's worth it, and it's going to be a wonderful event celebrating all the wonderful women here.
Sure. And that's April 12th.
April 12th.
Yes.
It's like a Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yes, Wednesday, that's true, yes. Good. So what else? I know we're.
So much.
I always say that, there's
I know,
just
I
so
know.
much going on.
Gallery walks are starting, so April
Okay.
is coming up. So the first Friday gallery walks in downtown Easton.
Mm-hmm.
That's when all the art galleries have, maybe wine, or maybe they have a speaker, or maybe they have an artist doing a book signing, or talking about their, paintings, that sort
Mm-hmm.
of thing. That's every Friday, April, all the way through October. And that is all the galleries downtown Easton. We encourage everybody to come downtown, enjoy that, walk in. The galleries will be open late those nights. Then starting in May, as something for the kids to do on first Fridays, we're having our movie nights. So all around Easton are free
Ooh.
community movie nights outside.
Do we have a list of the movies?
We're getting close. So there's going to be a list published. The dates are published. The parks are published. We were having the community vote on movies, so there's still some debate.
Any chance we can do Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles?
I can ask.
Never mind.
I don't know. It's supposed to be kids outdoor G movies. We'll see. We got Goonies is in the running. I'll just let
Good.
you know.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan of Mel Brooks. Actually, he was the uncle of a classmate of mine, and another classmate
my
of mine
gosh.
is the nephew of Dick Shawn, who also was in Blazing Saddles.
Oh my
so,
gosh, we'll have to work on an adult series.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, we'll do that. What else should we know?
I guess that's all for the second, but we do have a full lineup of events all around downtown. I mean, our discovereaston.com/events website is chock full of so many events that if you can't find something to do at Easton, again, it's on the person, because we've got offerings.
Actually, I had my college roommate. We've been friends for God knows how many years. But they came and visited, and it was the first time in Easton, and we went out to dinner, of course, and did some stuff. They were blown away by. He said he's gone to Ocean City and always drove down 50.
Oh gosh, I hate to hear that.
I know, I do too.
I'm glad you
Trust
brought him
me.
in.
He said, I'm coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
of course.
We love to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, and as a matter of fact, we got to show you this. So
Okay.
if you stop by the tourism office and come see us, and you may get one just for you.
Okay.
This is our new koozie, Discover Easton koozie, and it's co-sponsored by Hummingbird Inn. So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Come see us at 11 South Harrison Street at the tourism office, or text, or you can hit us up on social media, on Instagram, and you can come get one of those from your very own.
Well, I will do that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll get
We
more.
had to give
Thank
you one, yeah.
Thank you. No, Deena, thank you for being here. You're always bringing
Thanks for having us.
so much information, and again, just underscoring how cool a place and how active a town we are.
Absolutely.
And just the depth of opportunities for all kinds of things. Music,
Something for
art.
everyone all the time, I promise.
Actually, and one more quick story, I had cousins from London visiting, and I brought them to the art museum.
Oh, yes.
They live in London and it's upscale and all that sort of stuff. They were blown away.
Incredible
blown
collection.
away by what we have.
Incredible collection at that little museum.
And so we are a substantive, serious place. So
Absolutely.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You'll
Thank
come
you so
back.
much. Absolutely. We'll come
next
back.
month. Absolutely.
Anytime.
And Easton, we will be back momentarily.
Did you know? MCTV programming is available online. Find our shows like Rabbi's Roundtable, Carlisle's Chesapeake, The Shameless Picture Show, Conversations with Sherry, and the Avalon Theater Presents at youtube.com/Midshore Community Television.
And we are back, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and my next guests, I'm so glad that you are both here. It's very nice of you to take the time to join me. We are seated with Linda Webb. Linda is the director of the Talbot County Department of Social Services. She is a licensed social worker and has worked in the Department of Social Services on the Midshore since 1998. And the Talbot County Department of Social Services since 2016. Wow.
I know, time flies, doesn't it?
Does. And next to her is Belinda Frankel. Belinda is a licensed clinical social worker, a resident of Easton, as are you, by the way. Was worked in the foster care system for 20 years, and later then with the Midshore court systems for 8 years, prior to becoming a case supervisor with CASA for about a year and a half ago. Thank you for being here. There's lots to talk about, but before we talk about child prevention and that sort of thing, share some thoughts that you think are important with us.
Sure. Thank you. And just a minor correction, I live in Caroline County, not in Easton.
Sorry.
Although I aspire to live in Easton.
Yes. I forgot. Thank you, yes.
Not a problem. So, April is National Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I think that's what we wanted to highlight here.
Yep.
But I think before we talk about child abuse awareness and prevention, it's important to understand what child abuse actually is, and maybe a little bit about what we see here in Talbot County.
Yeah, thank you.
So child abuse and neglect are really actions taken that either harm a child, place a child at a high degree of risk, or sexually molest a child, performed by a caregiver. Yeah, it's not, after all the happy news that we listened to here earlier, this is not the happiest of news, and it's not what we like to think about in our communities, but it certainly does exist. What's important to think about is that for something to qualify as child abuse or neglect, it is actually an action taken or not taken by someone in a caregiving role. So, I think about a situation that I had when one of my children was a toddler, and I mistakenly tried to take my toddler through the grocery store after a long day of work and a long day of childcare for her, and she was just melting down in the cart as we kind of made our way through the store. And, again, mistakenly, I didn't leave. I tried to just get what I needed to for dinner. Well, she was making such a scene and screaming so loudly that the store manager came up to check and make sure that she was okay. So I think about that. If that store manager came up and grabbed her and shook her, well, he would be harming a child, but he was not in a caregiving role. So there may be charges associated with it, but it might be assault, not child abuse. If I picked her up and shook her, I'm her mother and was in a caregiving role, so that might be considered child abuse. So I think that's an important distinction, and it's not something that people always think about.
That's absolutely an
Yeah.
important distinction,
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
know how many people recognize that.
Right,
That's,
right.
I learned something.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
thank you, thank you. Well, let's just go down the
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
Well,
sure.
Anything else you need?
Yeah, so when you think about child abuse prevention or how we can support families and children in our community, you know, people always ask, well, what do I look for? What are some signs of child abuse? And it could be any number of things, but sometimes we see frequent school absences. We may see a child with an illness or a serious medical condition and we don't see them receiving any medical care. Sometimes it's just a matter of children don't have the proper clothing for the weather conditions outside, and you see that often, or a very young child outside unattended, or it appears that young children are home for extended periods of time unattended. With sex abuse, you may see children that are acting out in an unusual way. You're seeing behaviors that you've not seen before. They may regress, whereas they were potty trained or able to get through the night without wetting the bed, and they may regress. Now, not all of these signs are signs of child abuse. There could be any number of explanations for these kinds of behaviors. But when you see something that just worries you, or you're concerned for the well-being of that child, then I think it warrants making a report to the Department of Social Services.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
How deep does this go in Talbot County? I mean, talk about our local reality.
Sure. So the Department of Social Services, of course, it fluctuates from year to year, but we get somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 450 calls a year. Now, not all of those calls turn out to be child abuse. So we respond to somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 of those as potential child abuse or neglect. Other calls may be situations that I mentioned earlier. It's a situation involving a child that does not involve a caregiver, and so, we get in touch with law enforcement about that. Some may be just a situation where a family needs information and referral. Some may be situations where we can better serve that family in another program, where we install services, make connections to community resources. So there's any number of reasons that people call because they're concerned about children, but only about 100 of those each year turn into an actual child protective services response.
It's still a lot.
It is a lot, but we can respond in one of two ways. One actually involves doing an investigation to try to identify, number one, is the allegation true? Did child abuse occur? If so, by whom? And all of the details. If they are the first call regarding a particular child, it's an older child, it sounds like there's a low level of risk, and it appears to be something where we could simply provide some education, we can do what's called an alternative response. That does not involve an actual investigation, but is really an opportunity to work with that family, support the family and the child, and try to get them whatever services and resources that they need.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so important. I know I'm stating the obvious, but and it's upsetting.
Sure. Our vision is a community where we have worked ourselves out of a job.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
And that's not happening so soon.
No,
Sadly.
but we are doing a lot of things. There are a lot of prevention services that exist in the community, and that the Department of Social Services is providing. Really any service in the community that supports child health and well-being, growth and development, or provide services to support a family. They really are prevention services. So I think about things like the Judy Centers, Early Head Start, the mental health services that the school systems provide. All of those really could be considered prevention services because they support children and families. Specifically, the Department of Social Services is doing a few things. I think our largest prevention program is called Empower Me. This is being taped on March the 23rd, and we're doing a big community Empower Me presentation this evening in partnership with Talbot County Free Library here in Easton. Empower Me is a prevention program. It teaches body safety to children and to their parents. So we have a session for kids, elementary school age, and depending on the age range, we may break them up into smaller groups. And they're fun sessions that just help children understand their bodies belong to them. It helps them identify 5 trusted adults in their lives. You know, always check first if someone comes to pick you up and take you, for example, home for school, but mom or dad didn't tell you they were coming. Always check with mom and dad first. So it's this kind of education. And then we also, at the same time, talk with the parents about what child safety techniques they can put into place and encourage them to have ongoing conversations with their children, because this is not a one and done conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also offer parent education. It's an evidence-based program called Nurturing Parenting Program, and just as the name implies, we teach nurturing, positive child rearing techniques with the goal of avoiding abusive or neglectful parenting skills.
That's really important.
It is. You know, kids don't come with an owner's manual.
Well, and I was going to say, parenting doesn't come with a how to do book
That's
either.
right.
You know,
That's right. And you know, as I divulged about myself, we all have those moments as parents where you're at the end of your rope and you just don't know what to do. So if you have some skills, and if you have neighbors who care about you, family who cares about you, other connections where you're in that moment and you can just call and say, hey, I need some help. You know, it's important. It's we all want to help our families in the community.
I always wonder about making that call. I mean, that call is really important, but will somebody do it? Do they know to do it? You know.
To the Department of Social Services,
Well,
you're talking
yeah,
about?
or to anybody for help in that
Right,
respect,
right.
especially obviously to you in the department. But just what motivates somebody to do that, and do they have enough insight?
And that's a great question, because it's hard to ask for help, and it's hard to admit that we need help. But you know, again, we all want to work toward a community where we are interdependent and relying on one another and helping one another.
Yes.
Really, I think that's sort of the vision of the community that we aspire to.
And a community that provides that is a solid, successful community.
Right. You know, the county has those sort of pillars of support, and one of them is resilience. And this is how we build a resilient community, is we help and support one another. If we see a family that's struggling, we ask, you know, how can we help? How can we help? Yeah.
Belinda, you want to respond or comment or add to?
Well,
Given your experience?
sure. So CASA is a organization that's a national nonprofit that works with kids who have already been identified as vulnerable and removed from their homes due to abuse, neglect, abandonment, or simply a parent's inability to safely protect them in the home. So once the court has intervened and removed a child from their home, they may be considered a child in need of assistance. And at that point, a CASA volunteer, and CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special
Good,
Advocate.
that was my next question, but thank you, yes.
Court-Appointed Special Advocate would get assigned to that child, and their role and their job is really to understand the circumstances and the needs of that child in depth. And because a CASA volunteer only has one child or one sibling group, they don't have a caseload, they are really able sometimes to get more deeply acquainted with all the members of that child's world. So it could be the biological parents, the foster parents, therapists, teachers, and really understand and speak with that child on a level that sometimes social workers don't have time to do. And once they understand the circumstances of that child's situation, they work with their CASA supervisor to write a court report and make recommendations based in the best interest of that child.
And how frequent does this happen? You know, what's the rate of help?
That, fluctuates and varies. So, today we may have 50 children in the CASA of the Midshore program, and tomorrow there may be 2 families that have 6 children each that enter the system. Wow. So it's really hard to tell. Yeah. I do think that the numbers have been decreasing over the years because there's been so much attention and intervention and prevention. So that's been a success, that there are fewer kids coming into the court system because they're doing more work in helping families become better parents earlier on.
And in terms of prevention, what is offered to folk to learn about prevention and that sort of thing?
So that is a DSS role, and so a lot of the programs that Linda just described are about nurturing parents, parenting strategies, family counseling. They have in-home support staff that work with families to better their parenting skills and to make their homes safe and nurturing. So there's a lot of work done by the Department of Social Services to help families. CASA volunteers get involved kind of once the children have already been removed from the home. So the children that we serve are experiencing usually trauma and loss by the time they get to the point of being removed from the home.
Tough subjects.
Yeah.
Tough subjects.
Yeah, our role is to, as Belinda mentioned, get in there, provide support to families, try to reduce risk and increase protective factors so that the families can stay together. That's always the ideal, is families can remain together. But sometimes we just can't accomplish that. If we have to remove a child with the court's support from a home setting, the first place that we look is for family, so that the children. And if that's not possible, then we have licensed resource homes, what people think of as foster homes, in Talbot County, that work with us to provide a safe place for those children while we work on trying to reunify the family through additional services and supports.
That's not easy, actually.
No, it's really not easy, and it's not easy for the family either to have us involved. And we do try to be aware of that and approach it from as much as possible a collaborative approach, because we want that family to be able to reunify if at all possible. Your parental rights are one of the deepest rights you have as a human being. And so, the ideal, I think, for all of us, even if a child has to be temporarily removed and is working with a court-appointed special advocate and a resource family, for example, our responsibility is always initially to work to try to reunify that family. And that's part of what CASA helps with, is, as Belinda mentioned, really getting in there, understanding what's going on with the child and the family from a different perspective. We all have our roles and our perspectives in working with the family, and they're a valuable resource to the court. We could not do what we do without all of the partners that support us, including CASA, including the resource families, including the other community organizations like the library, where we'll be this evening. Child health and well-being is a community responsibility.
Absolutely.
And no one of us, while many of us have important roles in that, no one of us can do it together. We should all be working together to make sure that our children are healthy and well.
takes a village, as somebody
It
once said.
absolutely does, it absolutely does, and we've got a strong village here.
Yeah, I'm glad. Linda, any?
I guess I would just add that if anyone is interested in becoming a CASA volunteer, we would welcome you joining our family. CASA volunteers are people who really have a passion for children and really want to be the voice of a child. A CASA volunteer listens and hears a child and is able to reflect their voice to the court in a way that other agencies are not. So I think it is a very significant and meaningful volunteer position. And it's unique because these are not happy stories that we see.
Right.
And one of the things that is important for a CASA volunteer, or anyone considering it, is that we really want our volunteer to be a constant in a child's life. So when a child's removed from their home, there's tremendous change, often new schools, new families, new therapists, sometimes new social workers. And sadly, children in foster care sometimes move to multiple homes in the course of their time in the child welfare system. So our hope is that when a CASA volunteer comes on board, that they will recognize that it is important to stay with that child until they find permanence.
Right.
So we want them to be that constant voice no matter where the child goes, because that sends a message that that child matters.
Of course,
you know?
yeah, very important. Well, thank you both for being here. We've been talking to Linda Webb, who is the director of the Talbot County Department of Social Services, and Belinda Frankel, who is with CASA, the court appointed
Special advocate.
Thank you, and you'll come back. I think this is a hugely important topic, obviously, for a multiplicity of reasons, and the work you are doing is not just important, but it's transcendent. So,
Thank you for sharing this information with the community.
Well, it's important.
Appreciate it.
and Easton, we will see you next time on the Rabbi's Roundtable.